Hey everyone, Chris Lambert here, and on this channel we talk Kanye West, and I wanted to go over this post by bot Timmy on West Sub Ever. I thought this was pretty cool, one of those like lore things that people may not know. If you're on West Sub Ever all the time, then you probably do know this, but if not, this is one of those interesting My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy factoids, which, everybody loves. So it's called Record4Hype, and you can see here some of the slides. Prior to the release of My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy on the 22nd of December 2010, well, that's not November. It was the 22nd of November 2010, but a demo version of the upcoming album was sent to Hype Williams. Hype Williams, legendary filmmaker, right, music video director as well. Belly was probably his most his filmmaking masterpiece. The intro to Belly is just like such a wild thing. It's one of my favorite intros to any movie ever, but Hype worked with Ye on a ton of videos as early as College Dropout, I think, or Late Registration. You may remember if you watched Genius, when Ye kind of soft breaks up with Cudi and Chike for the first time in the aftermath of the College Dropout blowing up. When he's looking to do the video for Jesus Walks, he tells them like, hey, sorry, I'm going to work with Hype because it's Hype Williams, and I have to work with Hype Williams. And Cootie's just like, yeah, I get it, but it's not going to come out the way that you want it, and you're going to come back to us anyway, which is exactly what happened. But Hype has worked with Ye a lot over the years. All of the Lights music videos, maybe the one that is the most like visually kind of just like whoa and very Hype Williams-y. So it makes sense that Ye would send him this. They also worked together and collaborated on the Runaway My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy movie. So yeah, long history there. Kanye had chosen Hype Williams, a known video and film director, to create visuals for the album. In order to inspire him, Ye sent an early demo version to Williams so Williams could get a feel for the album. Record4Hype Zip is what this photo shows. So on the 9th of July, a leaked version of My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy surfaced, which was supposedly gained after one of Williams' manager's emails was hacked, which is kind of the ugly aspect to a lot of the leak culture. Like, these aren't usually things that were given willingly to the public. They tend to be the byproduct of people doing exactly this thing, which is beneficial for like a group of fans, but also frustrating, I would imagine, for the people that it's happening to. The zip file titled record4hype.zip was spread across the internet. However, each individual song was password protected, and there was a master password for the whole zip file. So what that meant was not only did you have to know the password for each song, but even if you had the password for that song, if you didn't have the master password for the album, it didn't matter. So it's like two-factor authentication. Authentication? No. I can't say the authentication. Authentication? Oh my goodness. That's going to give me an aneurysm. Anyway, two-factor authentication. Yeah. Needing both passwords, and people just didn't have them. The track list. The leaked track list consisted of 16 songs, some of which were old concept names for tracks which we now have, such as Ghetto University being All of the Lights. Other tracks didn't make the cut for the album. From this copy, The Joy ended up being used on Watch the Throne. So you can see it's Hell of a Life, track 1, Dark Fantasy, Power, Chain Heavy, Ghetto University, That's My Girl, Runaway, Lost in the World, Gorgeous, Monster, Holding Me Back, Devil in a New Dress, The Joy, So Appalled, I almost said So Applause, Blame Game, and Sweat on My Face. Sweat on My Face, what a title. Pretty funny, but you see like 16 tracks. What, the final version of My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy was 13? Is that it? 12? This info is not off the top of my head right now in terms of like some of the track list numbering, but Chain Heavy is something that came out during the Good Fridays. I don't know if this is supposed to be the track list either, like if Hell of a Life was for a time looked at as kicking off the album, which would get into some of the fantasy aspects, right? Like, Ye is fantasizing heavily on that album, but I think where they eventually ended up putting it following Runaway, it makes a lot of sense as well, and starting with Dark Fantasy. But Chain Heavy ended up just being a Good Friday song. That's My Girl ended up on Watch the Throne. Holding Me Back, I don't know. I don't think I know what that is. The Joy ended up on the deluxe of Watch the Throne, and then Sweat on My Face. Who knows? Who knows? And then attempts over time to gain access. So from the beginning of the zip file being leaked, many Ye-related communities made attempts at unlocking the file to gain access to the songs. One of the leading attempts was made by Kanye in April of 2013. None were successful, and many gave up. On the 26th of July 2020, a post was made on our Yandhi Leaks, oh good old Yandhi Leaks, bringing up the zip file once again. This post gained traction and passwords for individual songs such as Devil in a New Dress, but without the master password, all of these were useless, which is what I was saying earlier. You could find the password to the song, but you still needed the master password, which nobody knew. And then it turned out We Want the Money. So after the Reddit post gained traction, there was discussion on 4chan, and just one day after, an anonymous user posted that the master password was We Want Money. This allowed everyone access to what was presumed to be lost and possibly even corrupted files of what was now a time capsule of a pre-release My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Password is We Want Money, and this is like a picture of the 4chan post. Password is We Want Money. It's not corrupted. Music sucks. Jeez. I wonder, like, are the hackers on 4chan just like that great that one day there, more than like all these Kanye communities online couldn't figure it out, but one day on 4chan, is that just like the hacker level of your average 4chan user is just like Giga Chad level versus your average Kanye fan? Maybe. Maybe. And then like Music Sucks, was it just like, did it really? Or are they just not a Kanye fan, but they did the deed for the good of the community, you know? So each of these now listenable tracks, so this is, now that the treasure chest is open, what are we finding? Contained a watermark that played throughout saying, this copy is for Hype Williams. So, you know, if you ever want a producer tag, any of you, go ahead and go for that. Evidently earlier and sometimes fairly unfinished versions of now iconic tracks were gained, which showed the development of the album. This version of Monster, for instance, contained Nicki's verse, but not Jay-Z's. So we're talking that early into the process, or maybe it was like late into the process. If we're talking maybe a month before the album released, there was that story. What was it? Was it Stronger? One of something for Graduation, or maybe it was something for Late Registration. Was it Diamonds from Sierra Leone? Something in that early Ye period, he sent to Jay-Z the night before the album was supposed to come out. And Jay-Z was like, okay. It wasn't Never Let Me Down, was it? But it was the night before the album had to be turned in. And he was just like, hey, by the way, 4 hours, like, please. So maybe that's what happened here too, which would explain, you know, just a listing of monsters. Other differences included Kanye singing the chorus on Blame Game, which in the released version was done by John Legend, which might just be like him doing a placeholder. Like he might have known that he wanted somebody else to sing it the entire time, but he was just laying vocals as a placeholder to give other people a concept so then he could hear. We know that reference tracks are a huge thing. In the same way that Ye gets reference tracks from other people, he might also give his own reference tracks. Different instrumentals were used on songs, and a few songs were basically just instrumentals like Sweat on My Face. Okay. So no lyrics there. This leaked piece of media showed a fairly completed version of what many consider to be Kanye's magnum opus. Some of the evolution was visible in other vocal tales and variations, such as part of Sci-Hi's verse on So Appalled. So that's the story of the Hype Williams treasure chest that was kind of a holy grail mystery for the online Kanye communities for a long time, as there were many people that talked about this as like an item of lore and legend that might never be unlocked, and only if it would be, what wonders could we discover, what unreleased sounds might we hear. And it turns out like not too much, but it still is like very fun. And I just love the fact that 4chan just flexed on us. But that's it for this video. Thanks for Bot Timmy for putting this all together. Until next time, stay wavy and keep it loopy. Cheers.